Welcome back to my channel. As many of you know, I'm a value investor and I'm always looking for value in whatever market we're operating in. In 2023, the biggest story has been the Magnificent Seven and how well they've performed this year. I wanted to update my review of all seven stocks, let you know how they're doing this year, and give you my observation as to how they're going to perform in 2024 overall. Do me a favor and like my video and subscribe to my channel, and please leave comments on what you think the Magnificent Seven are going to do in 2024. So the Magnificent Seven are worth $11.9 trillion in value if you add up all the market caps of the seven companies. That makes up 30% of the S&P, which is really incredible, and I believe is an imbalance. I think the index is somewhat thrown off by so much concentration being in seven companies. So that's one thing that I've notice about the S&P, that maybe the S&P is not a true index this past year, because it's really an index that's heavily influenced by seven companies. So the first company I'll review is Apple. It's the biggest of the Magnificent Seven with a market cap of $3.07 trillion. Really incredible that they've gotten to that value. This year, they're up 58%, which is incredible. In the last month, they're up 4.2%. Their PE is a little high. It's higher than the average S&P, but not too much higher. Next year, we'll see where they go. Apple has not been growing their top line, which is interesting. They've been buying back shares because they have so much cash, and that's certainly been helping their stock price. But in my book, I really like companies that are growing that top line, and that keeps me from buying into the Apple story. But, you know, other investors have done great with it, obviously. I would be surprised if Apple stock continues to go up in value. I would not be surprised if the stock went down by 10 to 20%. The next company I'll cover is Amazon, and they're up at $1.55 trillion in the market cap. Just incredible. A great company, and it's obviously worth a lot of money. And they're up 75% this year. It is a great, great year for Amazon. It's up 3% in the last month. Their PE is a bit high. If you look at the forward PE, they're operating with a 51.6%. That's well above the average. But Amazon keeps growing, finding ways to be more efficient. So we'll see what they do in 2024. You know, I owned Amazon and I sold Amazon in 2023 at a big gain. I think the company is awesome, but I felt like their value had been reached. The stock price and the value for the company had become equal. And I wanted to take that money off the table and see what would happen next. I'm curious to see what what 2024 looks like for Amazon, but I would not be surprised if Amazon stock was down at the end of 2024 by 20 or 30%. Nvidia has been on a tear this year. They're the number one performing Magnificent Seven company, up 242%. Their value now is $1.2 trillion. In the last month, they have been flat. They're down just a little bit. What caught me by surprise is their PE is actually right in line with the S&P average PE, which I found to be a little surprising. I would have guessed that Nvidia's PE, their forward PE, would have been much higher. My expectation is that Nvidia is really benefiting from the big build out of artificial intelligence. But at what point will that demand go away and then revenues will really go down? Because I don't see what else Nvidia is going to replace that revenue with. But we'll see. I think 2024 may still be a good year, maybe a flat year for Nvidia. But I'm really concerned that the 2025, 2026 prospects are for Nvidia to really go down in value. Tesla might be the most volatile in the Magnificent Seven. It's up 135%. But if you look at the stock chart for the past year, it's really been down and it's really been up. It's at $7.794 trillion in value. It's performed great this year, up 135%. It does have a whopping price to earnings ratio forward PE of 78. And I have to believe that Tesla stock is overpriced. Couple of reasons. One, this is the car business, and all these other car manufacturers are coming to market with electric vehicles to compete with Tesla. Second, there's a lot of price pressure. Tesla's discounting or reducing the price on their cars. So I think there's forces that are going to cause the stock price to really go down in 2024, and that high PE is really worrisome. Alphabet is the stock that I think has been lagging the rest of the seven stocks, and a couple of reasons. The stock is up 49%, so I'll take that. I am a shareholder in Alphabet, will continue to be a shareholder. I think the company is incredibly valuable and has a bright future. They've been slow to really promote their AI business. I think they've been careful. Their AI business is big. It's significant from what I've researched, and is going to rival the business that Microsoft has, but it just hasn't been promoted heavily by the company, and the market therefore hasn't really given them that AI bump. That might be a good thing. I think going into 2024, I think Alphabet is going to do well in 2024. They continue to grow well. They're a tremendous free cash flow generating company. And I think the stock, compared to the other Magnificent Seven stocks, has been held back. So I think it has some room to go up in 2024. Meta has had a great year, up 168%, just a great rebound year after a very terrible 2022. The company is operating really well, just exceptionally well. It also has the opportunity to enter into the AI race or business or ecosystem because they have so many users globally. They have billions of users. They have so much data that I think their AI might be quite interesting. And they certainly have a way to deploy or offer up their AI service to billions of people. So I think they have a lot of opportunity within the AI business that's not priced in the stock at this time. For the last month, it's been flat. So that's interesting that it's been flat. I've been buying more shares of Meta. Meta is my #1 position in my portfolio. And I've been buying shares since the price has been good this month. And I bought more shares. Their PE is right there with the average of the S&P. So I'm very comfortable with the PE on Meta. And I think their 2024 prospects are good. Microsoft is having a great year. Their value now is 2.76 trillion. They're up 55%. And I would say that they have been the leader in the AI drive. This year, Microsoft and Nvidia have been the big beneficiaries of the whole AI excitement. And, credit to Microsoft for really leading the charge in that space. They really have captured a lot of the mind share of the marketplace and are benefiting. Their stock is benefiting from that activity. Over the last month, they're fairly flat, just up a tiny bit. Their PE is 35. That might be a little uncomfortable. I'm not a stockholder of Microsoft. They're a humongous company, and having a PE of 35 is going to be tough. I think looking at 2024, I'd be surprised if Microsoft went up more than 5% in 2024. I would not be surprised if Microsoft actually went down in value 10-20% in 2024. So we just went over the Magnificent Seven returns, and I wanted to put it in context with the S&P. The S&P is up 23.4%, which is surprising because every rate of return on the Magnificent Seven was much higher. Most of those gains have been the Magnificent Seven gains. If you look at the 493 other companies, it's quite a modest gain. So keep that in mind as you look at these returns. If you look at a 23.4% rate of return on the S&P, that's a great year. Only 7 years in the past 29 have been higher. And so it's been a really good year. The PE ratio for the S&P collectively is 24.9. Again, the Magnificent Seven stocks, every one of them, except for one, Alphabet was lower than this PE ratio, was higher. And I think the influence of the Magnificent Seven is probably pulling that PE ratio up. So I think there's small mid-cap stocks that have been left behind that have better PE ratios. And I think a lot of other stocks in the S&P 500, as well as stocks that are smaller, have been left behind. And they're probably good places to look at to buy and get a really good return in 2024. So I'm looking at alternatives outside the Magnificent Seven. At the beginning of 2023, I owned 3 of the Magnificent Seven. I owned Amazon, Meta, Google. All 3 positions were big positions. Amazon did great. I think the company's awesome. But I took that money off the table. I had a big gain on Amazon. I'm glad I did so because I think Amazon may struggle as well as some other Magnificent Seven stocks may struggle going forward. We will see. I just wanted to put the Magnificent Seven returns in context of the rest of the market to see where they land and how far off they are from the overall index. So a couple of takeaways that I wanted to leave you with. In 2023, small and medium cap stocks stayed behind and are catching up. We've seen in the last month and a half, the Russell 2000 has way outperformed both the Magnificent Seven and the S&P. Non-technology sectors underperformed. So historic sectors that perform well, like healthcare, financials, industrials, were left behind and are probably going to be good places to find value in 2024. Hedge funds and institutions are heavily invested in the Magnificent Seven. They may prop up the stocks, but at some point, somebody's going to blink. And when you see some of these institutional players move out of the Magnificent Seven, you may see a lot of them move out of the Magnificent Seven, and they may come down quite abruptly. For 2024, I don't think the Magnificent Seven are going to rise much collectively. I think a couple of them are going to drop significantly. And I think small mid-cap stocks are going to perform really well as sectors that were left behind that are probably going to bounce back in 2024. So these 7 companies have had a phenomenal 2023, and my hat's off to all of them. They've performed exceptionally well. I don't remember in my 30 years of investing a year like this where 7 companies just stood above the rest as dramatically as they have. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it interesting. If you could do me a favor and like my video and subscribe to my channel, I'd appreciate it. I would really appreciate it if you could leave comments. I'd love to hear what you think of the Magnificent Seven, which ones you think are going to rise, which ones you think are going to go down. I'd really be interested in reading your comments on that topic. With that, let me wish you the best of success in investing and happy holidays.